Hey guys, hey everybody, come on in the room. Come on in the room. Jesus is my God, and He writes all my scripture and gives me all my medicine in the room. So, hello, come in and say hello to me so I can give you a shout out. This is not my music playing in the background, but I wanted to play a little something, something. Just this is one of the songs that I really like. Donald Lawrence featuring Leandra Johnson. I know she's trending right now. Lord deliver me, but it's a beautiful song. Um, but I just wanted to get started. Give me a couple of seconds to get everything set up. But it's good to see you guys. I haven't seen you guys in a while. Haven't been live in a minute, but I'm back like I never left. How about that? Let's see. Honey. Mm. Mm. So, tonight I kind of want to talk about the current events, the trending events that's going on. First of all, I want to say send my condolences out to the families um, of um, Ariana Blanchard, and she's the 19-year-old from Alabama who was kidnapped um, in late October. Her remains were found um, earlier today, and her skeletal remains, which means that she was not only abducted, but she was also killed uh, on or about the time of her abduction because the decomposition was so advanced that, um, yeah. So it kind of makes my heart really heavy and it grieves my heart because the young people are not really aware of the danger that they're in. And this society is a very sick society at this point. I mean, not, no, I'm busy. This is a very sick society. He's just updating me on my dear's family reunion. That's what he's watching. Hey, sweetie. Thanks for coming in. Don't forget to like the video um, on your way in. This is a very sick society. It's very good to see you, babe. Um, and for people to feel that they have the right, for them to have the audacity to abduct, take, capture, kidnap, pick up, exploit, or whatever, manipulate your family member and take them and use them how they please for their own benefit and their own gain is just beyond me. You know, this is a life that for me, I have three daughters and I don't know how many granddaughters anymore because I have a lot, quite a few. But I have three daughters. And if either one of my granddaughters or daughters were to come up missing, I would be devastated. So for you to kidnap a child or a woman or a man or whomever and take them to do what you please to do as if you were the one that could make this decision and exploit them or whatever. And there are many types of trafficking. There's just not human trafficking as it's said to be, but human trafficking could be for labor practices, for sexual exploitation, and also for child pornography, and for organ trafficking. They are taking a lot of people and kidnapping or killing them and taking their organs and selling their organs. Now, this is not just human, living organs or organs from a person who is alive when they take them or kill them, but they're also selling cadaver organs and um, bones and flesh and whatnot for whatever reasons. Several reasons, because even if you need bone replacement or anything like that, there are people who are able to take a cadaver bone and to put it in your body, and it'll mend or fuse to your bone and replace missing or displaced bones in your body. So I got a few statistics that I wanted to share, and this is just to kind of make you aware of how serious the human trafficking situation is. First of all, and thank you guys for joining and stopping in. First of all, let's say 51% of people that are human or victims of human trafficking are females 18 and over. Um, 85% of those who are human or are taken or victimized, victims of human trafficking are 7% are for I'm sorry, let me do that again because I wear glasses, but I don't have them on. So 85% are for labor exploitation. That's what that was. 7% is for sexual exploitation. Okay. And 1% of that is for organ removal. 28% are children. And of that 28%, the 20% are girls and the 8% are boys. Um, 63% of those who are actually caught and convicted are men. Surprisingly, 37% are women that are caught and convicted for human trafficking. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. 43% of those who were victims of human trafficking were domestic, which means that they were within the United States borders. The other 57% came from outside of the United States or happened outside of the United States, occurs outside. And outside of the United States, the highest countries are India, Libya, and Myanmar. And these are the most dangerous countries outside of the United States. Now, there are a total of about 21 million victims globally of human trafficking. And there are in the United States alone, at least at last count, and these numbers right here are 2019 numbers. So it's just as of the last that are actually reported. So 17,000 are people within the United States. Um, and overall, and this comes from the first information came from Fabulosa.com. And this information now, the numbers that I'm about to give you, comes from the law offices of Jeffrey Nathan. And that is that the human traffic and the human sex trafficking industry is a $32 billion industry. Now, sadly enough, what a lot of people don't really want to recognize or want to speak on is the fact that there are a lot of white collar um, participators in sex trafficking and human trafficking. There are a lot of white collar participants, meaning there are judges, lawyers, political officials, um, uh, big corporate companies, um, officers, and a lot of people that you will see on a day to day basis, and they smile in your face, have a very dark past. Now, if you were to go under into the dark web, which is something I don't even want to indulge in. But if you were to go under into the dark web, you will be able to find out a lot more about this industry. But the human trafficking industry is one of the highest paid underground industry other than drugs. So, and I would say that it's just as lucrative as the drug business. So when people think about trafficking, the most of the thing they think about is just drug trafficking or guns or something to that effect. But very seldom do people think about human trafficking. And then when you think about human trafficking, they think about just the sexual part of it, but they're not thinking that there are unfair labor practices. There are some people who have been brought into this country and just to be exploited through the labor industries, to run companies and industries and to keep them going. And they either don't pay them at all or they pay them well below minimum wage. You got to understand that in places like Mexico and things like that, they are still making uh, $25, $30 a week. You know, some of them are not making $100 a month. And so when they come to the United States and they are able to make that in a day, they can live off a little or nothing. And they send the rest back home to help their families. Or they and before the ISIS thing, they were able to bring their families with them and be able to make a home in the United States, but they were working. So now they are being exploited, and that's where a lot of the government officials were using them and hiring them as maids, gardeners, cooks, and nannies, and all of this. And they were able to exploit them by paying them or underpaying them. So it's more than just human trafficking, it's more than just the sex part of it. But the dark secrets about the sexual part of it is that it is really more prevalent than we understand it to be. And it's happening more and more often. Now, if you were to send your kids to the store, I don't really understand how people could do that. Send your children to the store. Your children are going to the store alone. Young girls are catching the buses here and there or public transportation or Ubers, and they're not coming back. And a lot of times they are being snatched. There are multiple videos that are out with young girls standing on bus stops or going into a store, and they come out the store and they are literally being snatched and pushed into cars. There are some accounts of young ladies who have been pushed inside of the cars and injected with some type of medication that paralyzes them. So they're unable to fight back or they blank out until they get to where they're going. Um, Other instances, there are young people that are meeting people online. And online, I tell my kids, my grandkids, anybody, online, you can be anybody you want to be. If you're just a emoji or an avatar and a bunch of words, they you can say everything to make them fall for you, and you can send pictures after pictures, and it's not a view, it's of someone else, and you draw them in and say, okay, I can't live without you. I really want us to be happy. I'll give you anything you want. And for someone that's actually for a young person, they're easily manipulated. So they go off and they meet. I say this because I knew someone, I worked in the same office space as a young lady whose daughter was a victim of this. Her daughter was taken from school. The young man came up, he told her he was 16, and it turns out the guy that picked her up from school was 35. He picked her up for school. Um, Her mother, she never came home from school. Her mother called the school. School said she left at lunchtime and nobody had heard from her. She was gone for about 5 days. And from the 5 days, she was drugged. This was in the Detroit area. She lived in the Southfield area. Uh, she was drugged and she was taken from her school, her high school in Southfield, and she was taken um, to Ohio. She was taken to Ypsilanti. She was taken to Kalamazoo, Ann Arbor, Ohio again, and back to Detroit. And then she was taken to um, um, the borders of Southfield. At that point, um, she had an opportunity where she jumped out of the car with the car moving and she ran. She ran to a gas station at 8 Mile and Southfield Freeway and she called her mother and told her to help me after not seeing her child for 5 days. This baby was taken from place to place to place. They gave her drugs or they made her, induced her with drugs, and she was sexually exploited by several men. And she said that at one point in time, there were as many as 30 men that had intercourse with this 15-year-old girl at one stop. They took pictures of her, videos with her, they beat her, they did all types of things. She cried, they slapped her, they beat her, and she was able to get away. And this was on the news and everything. And I worked closely with her mom, and my kids hung out with her before. Um, when the child came back mentally, she was gone. She had been through so much in that 5 days that she wasn't a child anymore. You know, her innocence had been stripped, and her mind had been just taken from her. So it took a lot, and from that point on, um, her mother was really not able to gain control of her after that. You know, because what happened to her. Of course, she took out on everybody because she didn't know how to internalize it. Um, on other instances, there were women who met people at parks and they trusted the guys. The guys seemed really nice. One young lady was in Michigan visiting another person she was in the military. She was visiting another girlfriend. Actually, they were both in the military, but she came home to Detroit with her friend to visit on one of the furloughs. And they met some guys out at Rouge Park. Um, the guys took them to some place on the west side. One of the girls, the one that visited from out of town with the girlfriend that was there, uh, she was well to do and she was a upper rank in the military. She had a very nice car. She had money on her card, and she offered to treat them to partying or whatever. They told her to come hang out with us at this place. They get to the place. It was really a drug spot or whatever. They beat the girls and they killed one of the one that was visiting from out of town. But they had them both drugged. Well, the other girl was able to somehow come to consciousness, and she had an opportunity to jump out of a window and broke free and ran for help. But when she got back, her girlfriend was already dead. Um, these are all instances of situations where they were used for trafficking or uh, or sexual exploitations. Um, Also, there are instances where children are walking along with their moms and their sisters and brothers, and somebody just walks along and snatches them by the arm and drags them along. You can see videos of mothers fighting with individuals to get their babies back, jumping on them, fighting with them. And the guys are punching them in the face and running off with them. You see guys jumping out with masks on, pushing kids in the car. Uh, the little cupcake baby that was missing in Alabama, you can see the perpetrator luring her by dropping candy on the ground and leaving a trail of candy for her to follow. And as she followed and got closer to the truck, they put her inside of the truck and they took her. And a week later, the baby's body was found in a minefield. So I say all of this to say that human trafficking is really, really real. The last point I wanted to talk about is the part of human trafficking that includes organ trafficking. There are instances where the young man down in, I believe it was Atlanta or Florida, one of the two, where he was beaten by some of his classmates. And when his body was rolled up in a gym mat, and he was found there. But when his family got his body released to them, and the body was released then they finally got uh, possession of his body. His insides were packed with newspaper. All of his organs were gone. There was another young man in the northern part, I believe, was in Baltimore area, where he was a military man, and he was pulled over for a traffic violation or something, taken to jail. And when his family got him, he had been killed in the jail cell. And when they got him, his throat, eyes, and a few other organs were missing. Um, there are a lot of young women that have been found. They were came up missing. When their bodies were found, they had no organs. So this organ trafficking, all of this is real. And I'll tell you, you have rich, wealthy individuals that are not ready to die or not ready to lose their little girls or little boys. They will do anything to get a healthy heart, anything to get a healthy set of eyes, anything to get a healthy lung or healthy kidney or whatever it takes to save their baby's life at whatever expense, even if it's at the expense of you losing your baby. They don't care because to them, money is power. Money talks, and people will sell their own young. And in some cases, they have for the love of money. So I want everybody to be cognizant, be very aware of the fact that it's not that it can't happen to you anymore. This situation is not just happening in faraway countries or in cities that are way far away from us or what. It's happening very close to us in our own backyards. And everybody needs to be cognizant of what's going on, and we need to be helpers one to the other. Come together. If you don't stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. So a lot of times I have the arguments with my daughter, and well, Mom, why do you have to do it? Why do you have to get involved? Because guess what? It took a Martin Luther King, a Rosa Parks, a Harriet Tubman, Marva Collins, it took all of these people to stand, whether it was for education, human rights, welfare rights, whatever the case may be. It took somebody to stand up and own that position and run it until it was ran well and successful. And at this point, there are more people saying, why me? Why me? Well, I don't have to do it. It's not my problem. But as long as you think that way, there'll be no one to advocate for somebody else. There's always going to be somebody that needs to stand up. But when you're in that position and you need help, you're going to want somebody to look out for you. So I look at it that way. I use a vicarious attitude. I'd rather I stand for something, or believe in something or advocate for something in case you can't, or if you decide not to. But I don't want to see my kids and my grandchildren grow up without a chance or opportunity because no one spoke up, or no one stood up, or no one looked. If somebody says that your children are missing, first of all, I'm going to verify the information, whether they are, this is a fact, and then I'm going to do whatever I can to help it. But I just don't believe in sitting back not doing anything. If I can share a picture or share a video, or post something or repost something, or make a phone call or two and find out some information to help someone, I'd rather do it than to do nothing at all, knowing that I could have possibly done something to help someone else. So we got to think about it that way, guys. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Trust and believe that. Okay, so that will bring me to my next. um, Now, first, I just want, hey, sugar, good to see you, babe. I just wanted to say I'm going to speak on the Ray J situation. Just digress for a second. The Ray, all I want to say, hey, baby, is it's good to see you, Nay. It's good to see you, Phil, Nick, Bi, and Miss J95, and whoever else is here. Make sure you guys like my video, okay? So the Ray J Princess thing, I'm gonna just put it like this. It sounds a little marriage boot campish to me. It just sounds like a plot, something to get to the next thing. That's all I think. I don't really think it's all up that much, because when you look at them, they are so in love, they so happy, and all of a sudden it was just too fabricated for me. So I'm not even gonna give that any energy. I think that that's just all bull crap. But we're gonna it's good to see you too, sweetie. It's so good to see you. So now we're going to talk about the carbonation updates. Yeah, that. So let me give you a brief synopsis for those who may not know. Most of you guys know what the carbonation situation is, but the carbonation is a group that was formerly called Melanation, that was founded by Eligio Bishop, aka Nature Boy, aka Chief. I will not call him anything more than that, because what he claims to be is the Messiah, the second coming of the Messiah. He sometimes says that he says he's God, and a bunch of other things. But what he is he's a demon from hell sent on this earth to exploit people, to um, manipulate them, and to manipulate money out of out of the public. And he's been doing pretty well at it, I might say. He's managed to live, I'm going to say, about 4 or 5 years out in nature, and he's doing it on the backs of individuals that are here in the United States. Well, not just there. He has fans everywhere, but he lives off of the backs and there you go, mama. The backs and the pockets of those that work feverishly to provide for their families here in the place he calls Babylon, which is the traditional U.S. or under traditional government standards. He calls it Babylon, and he says that we are all breaking God's law by living in Babylon. We should be there where He is so that He can exploit us as well. So basically, he's running what he calls a religious conscious cult, but it's not. It's a outrageous cult, and it means just like it sounds, an orgy, a big orgy. That's all it is. He exploits and he plays on individuals that are um, mentally, emotionally challenged or damaged. Uh, People who are in search of something to rescue them from themselves. Most of them, or a lot of the males, have been involved in some sort of um, sexual indecencies with minors. Um, some of them are conflicted about their sexual preferences. Um, Most of them, he has, the males, he has had sexual intercourse with them as well. He was once a male stripper. He was in relationships with both males and trans women, meaning men that transition to women. Um, and that now he has had as many as, I believe, five wives at one time. And what he does, he switches them back and forth. If one of the other men has a wife, he'll give them a wife, and at his leisure, he'll take her back and he'll sleep with her. They'll sleep with her. He'll come back and they sleep with her. Somebody else will have her. Then they'll come back to him, and somebody else can get her, and they come back to him, and they just bounce these women around like that. He gets on live and he exploits them sexually, having oral sex with them, showing pictures of them doing it, making them kiss each other, and just all types of things. And in some cases, the women, when they are in the bed with him, they're all in the bed with him together, doing everything. It's just sexual deviancies. Is all it is. These people are so lost and they're searching for something that will make them better, will fix them mentally, will fix them emotionally, will take the place of all of the hurts and the pains that they suffered when they were in Babylon or home. He makes them denounce their families. He makes them denounce their children. In many cases, he's made them leave their children behind. There were women that have left as many as 4 and 5 kids behind and just left with no way for their children to survive. They just left. And then they took the income with them so that they could take care of him, their God, their Messiah. In the meantime, the children are suffering. What kind of God would allow you to abandon the life that you helped to bring in this world just to come and take care of a grown, nasty looking man that is not going to make you his number one? There'll never be a number one, and we're going to get to that. There'll never be a number one because he's always going to be number one. He's a narcissist, he's a pessimist, uh, he's a demon, and he's hellbound for sure, for more reasons than one. So, most recently, I want to say about oh no, maybe about 2, 3 months ago, um, one of the main women of his harem um, was rescued, I'll say, from his compound, and she was the mother of one of his children. The baby was actually born in a hospital there in the tropics, and she decided that she wanted to come home, and she left. She came home. She was flourishing. She was vibrant. She was doing well. She started looking healthier. And that's another thing. Everybody over there looks sick. They eat one meal a day, and it's a B6 diet, and which is both mostly just lettuce and germ, wheat germ or something. I don't know. It's a vegan diet for the most part, and the larger portions, of course, go to him, and they are able to eat whatever, and they ration out the food. And mind you, these are foods that are purchased with their income. But he takes it once they get there. If a new person comes and joins the compound or joins the family or the cult, when they come in, they scavenge through their belongings. So what you have is not yours anymore. If you're thinking you're taking toothpaste or anything like that, it's not yours. Your earrings, your necklace, your sanitary well, they don't wear they don't wear panties, so I don't know where a pad would go. But anyways, um, whatever is yours, your clothes, everything. You'll see the guys with their scarves tied around their head. You'll see the girls with each of them have grabbed the. So they go through and they scavenge all of their belongings. He takes their passports, he takes the money cards, and takes their phones. And you're only able to use accounts that he have created for you, and he changes their names. So your name is no longer Sis-Lo, is Sukiyaki, the immortal Sukiyaki of the fifth power or something to that nature. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. And so he has total control over their incomes. So, and if you don't have an income, you got to come with something. So, whatever it is that you come with is your initial contribution. That's your initiation. But once you're there a few weeks or whatever, if you're not doing something to bring money in, you go back home and you get kicked out because he's not about to take care of anybody, according to him, which is pretty much everybody put everything in the pot. But instead of everybody putting everything in the pot and it's being rationed out evenly, everybody is putting in the pot and he tells you what you can do with it, and that's how they live. So yes, and you heard me mention it. They don't wear underwear, they don't wear bras or panties or anything like that. I'm told that they only bathe once or twice a week, and I know Wednesday is groom day. I've learned that over the last year and a half of keeping up with them that Wednesday is groom day. So you'll if you tune into any of their foolala, you'll see on Wednesdays that that's the day that they take a bath. That's the day that they get their hair cut, shave, and all that. Oh, everybody looks good on Wednesday. Everybody looks good and crisp. I don't know how they smell, but anyway. So yes, they don't wear bras or anything like that. And I declare there are some of them that not only need a bra, but they need like a dang on bungee strap or something. Because one of the young ladies that got a pretty newborn, her stuff is swing low, sweet cherry. It's like hanging down the nipples touching her lap. I know they got to be, and she's young. So guess what? When she gets my age, she gonna be stepping on her nipples. Trust and believe that. So yes, use a bra too. I don't understand. I mean, they need to twist up one of them rags, twist it and tie it around and do it across the shoulders and anchor it up and catch it real tight or something. Because I'm trying to tell you, yeah. So then I know, it's just. Oh, what I've been wondering, and a lot of them, they're all breastfeeding. So I know they got to have milk drooling down the, you know what I'm saying? Because I know me, when I was lactating, You know what I'm saying? I had to wear breast pads because I produced, especially if you're heavier endowed. So check this out. I just want to know if what they doing for, all it just, and I bet in the tropics it's hot and it's probably sour and sticky and just I just couldn't do it. I can't, you just you don't want to smell yourself. And if it's hot and you ain't using vegan deodorant or whatever it is they use to wash up, what's going on? What the funk is going on? That's all I'm saying. What's going on? So anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. Bring it back in. So anyway, the young lady that left recently decided to go back. So she went back and she went back within the last 24 hours or so. I'm just gonna say it like that to be safe. And it actually broke a lot of hearts. Um, it caused a little confusion. It's not that it's because she's grown or anything like that. It has nothing to do with any of that because ultimately she is. But the struggle she's having mentally and to know that the potential she has, uh, to see how the baby was flourishing and how the baby was advancing, but more than that, to see how manipulating this man is, that he was able to convince this baby to go back. And she was so free, y'all. She was so free. I don't care. Like, you can look at her and see that she was free. But when you are not mentally where you need to be, and when you have been manipulated and brainwashed, and you have any other imbalances in your chemistry, once you have been manipulated and all of that, and your hormones are all out of whack from having a baby, and you are in love with the person, no matter all the wrong that they have done to you, and all of those things come balled up in one big ball, and somebody just throw it at you, and you're dealing with all of these emotions. Sometimes a person who is imbalanced will seem, if I just go back, some of this will end. And I'm sad. The fact that she went back, I'm sad about it. Ultimately, I can't do anything. My bad words to her, or my disappointing words of disappointment, or whatever, disgust and anger, it really, it's not going to change the situation at all. All I can do is do what I've been doing all this time, and that's just pray for her. I've grown to have a love for her because I've been so emotionally invested. But there are people that are actually in this live, even that have done more than that, that have been hand and knees and feet and elbows into not just helping her, but helping a lot of them, you know, and helping some of them get back and forth. And we've been raving for them and trying to talk them out of going back, and just so many things. And it actually, it feels a little disappointing, but more than just me being disappointed, I'm from the outside looking in. Imagine how her family feels. Imagine how the other people that were affected by this situation right here, how they feel. She was in love with someone, and I believe does have love for that person. I really do. But I believe that the demons inside of her, the things that were overwhelming her in her mind, made the bigger the 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 bigger influence. And you got this person, and he wouldn't leave her alone. He kept trying to make her feel guilty about the choices she made, and he's making up songs and telling people to stay in her inbox and to blow her up and to this, and then I want my baby and this and the other. But All of this fool la la, and it got to her, and ultimately she decided to go back. I pray for her best. I pray for her protection. I pray for the protection of not only her, but all of the other ones over there, whether I feel like they are idiots or not. There are some people that there's a young lady over there right now, Zoka, who went and her family didn't even know she was gone or what have you, supposedly. And she's 21 years old. She's new. And of course, she has some imbalances mentally. Again, she's beautiful. She's being exploited. You know, there are, and he even went, they're going back and forth. Now, all of the ones that were his wives before Eliana or Nana went back, or Velvet went back. They ain't none of her names. Velvet, before Velvet decided to go back. Um, I, uh, uh, what's the child's name? They call her Pluto, but Efru, um, Malia, all of the ones that were his wives. Oh, I haven't seen anybody where Ra is. I don't even know who Ra is with right now because I haven't seen or heard anything. But all of them were his wives before Velvet went back. Now, before they announced that Prince and Princesses or whatever they call it together, now they're all with different men again. Now, mind you, this is not their first trip around the mulberry bush. They've been with some of these men back and forth before. Actually, Efru was pregnant by Caliber, and then she drank the tea and the toxic tea and miscarried the baby. And then Pice was had another young lady pregnant, and he sent Nature Boy sent her home, and now he putting her with the one he just had on his shoulder, eating her privates out on the live. He just put Pice with her. And then he sent Efru back to the man she was pregnant by. So now my question is, will Pice now impregnate Malia? Will Efru get, because ain't none of them taking no protection. None of them, they don't wear no panties, so they can't stop nothing going in or coming out. How you doing? So what are they gonna do next? Are they gonna keep getting pregnant and keep drinking the tea until they get the perfect situation going? And today, his perverted tail posted a picture of a lion and a lioness getting it on. And the lion had a big grin on his face. So you know what that was saying. Basically, yeah, we getting it on right about now. So Velvet, if that's the case, Velvet gonna end up pregnant again. And if she does, then it'll be two babies, two situations, two another emotional attack, and all of her rants and raves and all that will be visible through social media, something that she hates, but it'll be back. So what's going to happen? History is going to repeat itself, and it's going to keep going. It's going to keep happening. It's never going to stop. But at this point, with with all of the relations, and not to mention, I'm sorry, Omac, he always loved her. He's always loved Velvet. He always cared about her, and he put his guards down as well to love her again. She loved this guy, but it wasn't until after the engagement or whatever it was announced that things started going awry. And his heart has been broken again because she was the one she told him initially, I love him, I'm going back. How you think that feels when somebody you've been spending all this time with, they're working, they're making money together, they're creating art, they're painting children's centers and making jewelry and traveling and seeing different things. And she's out and about. She can come and go, eat when she want to, bathe when she feel like she was looking good, wearing jewelry, lipstick, got her own collections and all this kind of stuff going on. And now all of a sudden she gives all of that up to go back to bondage. Sound like the children of Israel to me. And wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, complaining and murmuring, marching around in circles before they finally got out. But it took them to go around, go through some stuff for them 40 years to finally get it. I just hope, I just hope that they come to their senses before somebody there is hurt. Because some of them girls, Malia looked like, in that one picture, she looked like she been crying all day because he pushed her back to somebody else because Velvet is here. And it's only going to last for a little bit because he cannot contain himself. When he first got home, when he was locked up for that month or almost a month, and when he got home, he was so happy and so nice. And they partied and they did this, and the next thing you know, he was smacking on her, blacking her eye, busting her lip, doing all types of things. So just imagine what's going to happen after the few weeks are over. So basically, we've covered pretty much everything. I want to put my hats off again to all of the people from the squad that worked so hard to work on the situation. All of them did a fine job. I have nothing but love for everyone. I don't, I don't get in the background stuff because I'm not a part of that part. So I can only see from the outside looking in. I love everybody. I pray for peace for everybody. I pray for growth and spiritual enlightenment for you all. I pray that God will lift you up and will keep you and have his face to shine upon you, give you peace. In this season of Thanksgiving, I pray that you all are thankful for everything that you have, thankful for your families, thank you for thankful for your children, thank you for your job, and thankful for everything. Be grateful, be thankful, show love. Recently, I just started buying I love you cards and thinking of you cards, and I love to do that, and I do it quite often, but not as often as I like to, and just start sending people and write little notes in there to tell them how much you love them. Um, you would be surprised how a little love can go a really long way. Um, I don't have my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister. I'm the only one left out of my family. Um, I remember watching my sister die when she was 6 weeks old. I remember when my mother discovered her. Um, dead. Um, I remember it like it was yesterday. Um, I remember the things my brother and I went through growing up. I remember trying to be his protector, and I remember trying to be protected. Um, I remember the things that my mom and my dad went through, but I remember that before they passed, we were all in a good place. We all loved each other. We were all there for each other, very close knit. And then I remember when I lost my mom, and my brother was the stronger one. And he had to keep me on my toes on making the arrangements and trying to see the things through. But I was so broken because my mother was my best friend. And I just didn't have anybody as close as her. And we went through a lot to get to that point that we were close, but it took a lot of forgiving, a lot of overlooking, a lot of getting past the things from the past and allowing the future to go through. A year before I lost my mother almost died. And the doctor said if she goes to sleep, it's over. I stayed up in that hospital 3 days. I stayed awake 3 days straight, no sleep. I stayed by my mother's bedside, talking to her, shaking her, and keeping her alert. And that third day happened to be my brother's birthday. And I drifted off to sleep. I will never forget that I was right by her bedside. And I was angry at myself because I woke up and I realized I had fallen asleep. And I thought I had failed. But ultimately, it wasn't me, it was God that kept my mother. And my mother woke me up saying, "Wake up. There ain't no time to be sleeping. I'm here. I'm here. I'm back and I'm here." And she woke up talking loud in the hospital room. She was herself again. She was so bright in herself. And I began to tell her about the things that she was going through and about how, she talked about um, a lot of going to hell while she was like, going through this psychosis and the breathing thing because she wasn't getting any oxygen to her brain. So she was delirious. And but she was dying and she was on her way to hell. And she was talking about that she was talking to me from hell, literally. She was talking about it's hot. I'm shackled. It was, and she was sweating. When she said, "So hot down here. It's so hot." And she kept telling me, and I'm talking to her. She said, "No, go back. You can't come with me. Go back." And I was like, "I can't come with you where? It's so hot down here. It's hot down here." I said, "Oh no, woman of God." I knew she wasn't gonna die then, because my mother was a woman of God. Oh my God. She was a woman of God. So when I said, "Oh, I know you ain't going nowhere," because first of all, you're going in the wrong direction. If you in hell and it's hot, you must be going down there to preach to somebody because you're not going anywhere. And sure enough, I kept talking to her, kept talking to her. She kept telling me, "Go back. You got children, you got grandchildren, go back. You can't go with me." I was like, "Mom, you going in the wrong direction, boo. Come this way. Come back this way." And I kept talking to her and I kept talking to her. I kept her up. Every time she was dozed off, "Wake up, Mom." And I knew she was exhausted. But I wake her up and shake her and talk to her and push her. And finally, on that third day, she popped back. I mean, she even looked different. She even looked different because when she was out of herself, she looked different. When she came back, her skin was beautiful. The sun was bright and shining so bright. It was beautiful. And so she lived another year. And when she died, it was quick and unexpected. My mom died from an allergic reaction. We still don't know exactly what it was, but it was an allergic reaction. And it took her, she died on the 4th of July. It's just like my mom. She died on the 4th of July. And she died at a few minutes before midnight. So when she passed away, all of the fireworks and everything just started going off. And I was like, wow, it's just like my mom. She went out with a bang. She was a lively woman, funny, giving, loving. She was always the one to save the day. She was just like right now, she would be out collecting turkeys and then she would go all through the neighborhood and everybody didn't have a Thanksgiving dinner. She'd give it to them. Yeah, nay. It was crazy. So when she died, it was so crazy how even on the drive home from the hospital, was driving through the neighborhood and you could see the sky, the rockets, and all of the bombs bursting in there. It was really serious. And this went on until about 2 in the morning. And I didn't break down until I got home. And I fell on the couch. And I said, I came home without my mom. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was just, it wasn't supposed to happen. You know, I wasn't supposed to leave without her. And I felt like I was so empty. Like something just didn't go right. I came home without my mother and I can't go back to see her tomorrow. I couldn't understand. I couldn't comprehend it. And I just said it so that I could process it. And I was like, my mama's dead. My mom is dead. She's dead. And I had to do it to begin to process it because it wasn't coming out. So my brother was the strong one. So he helped us do that. And then that was in 2011 on the 4th of July. Then my mother passed right before midnight. And on March the 19th of 2016, my daddy, my hero, he took his last breath. And my dad was holding on for me. And I knew it because he knew that I didn't want to see him go. I had to take care of my father for the last 4 years of his life. I was his nurse. I was everything. I had to pick him up, feed him, dress him, everything. But he would always cry because he would say he didn't want to be a burden. And I would always tell him, Dad, this is my reasonable service. You've done so much. You've been a wonderful father. I'll do it. It's not a problem. You're not a burden on me. You never will be. I'll do it however long it takes. I don't care. And when he was at the hospital, he just kept trying to hold on. His heart just kept beating and beating and beating. So I knew he was tired. So I told my daughter and my brother, I said, I'm going to leave for a few minutes. I'm going to go home and cut my son's hair and I'll be back. As soon as I got finished cutting my son's hair, my daughter called and she said, Ma, granddaddy's gone. I said, I knew it. I knew he was just waiting on me to leave the room because he knew that it was hurting me to see my daddy go. And when I tell you that my father was a wonderful father, I never had to look for my daddy. I never had to beg him to take care of us. I never had to wonder what type of man he was because he was always there. He was always there. He made our our childhood so exciting, as exciting as he could. He worked a lot. He provided for his family, but he was very exciting. Fishing, bowling, skating lessons, everything. Whatever we thought we might have wanted to do, he tried to do it. Well, now remember, as an adult, this how exciting my daddy would make it. Like Easter egg hunts and all that, he was involved in it. And Christmas, he got me so good. And I remember, I don't know, I might have been about 6, 7, something like that. And he was trying to get us to go to bed. At that time, I didn't know why, but it was because they wanted to put our toys and stuff together and put everything out. So to get us to go to bed, he was like, Santa Claus is coming. And I'm like, how you know? He said, watch, come here. And he took me to the window and he said, look up there. You see the red light? And sure enough, there was a red light going across the sky. And you can hear it and everything. I'm like, in awe, like, and I grabbed my brother and Jeff, let's go to bed. Santa Claus coming. Let's hurry up. And we were so excited we couldn't hardly go to sleep. So he would put us in the room and then shut the door and we'd go try to hurry up and make ourselves go to sleep. And he was like, my little brother would be like, can I sleep with you? Yeah, come on. So we sleeping there. And so I'm sorry. By the grace of God, he's still here. See, you know what? That's a beautiful testimony, babe. That's a beautiful testimony. And thank you for that. I needed to hear that. That's a beautiful testimony. So, I'm sorry, this thing popped. So, when we went to the window, we saw the little red light or whatever. So, get this, guys. This was like, I was grown, like maybe about 5 years ago or something like that. And my dad, I said, Daddy, he laughed at me so hard. I said, Daddy, you know what? You were so good at getting us into the spirit of the holidays and whatnot. I said, but can I ask you a question? How did you do that with the Santa Claus thing? And I said, I saw the red nose from Rudolph and everything. You couldn't tell me when I was grown that there's something about this Santa thing was true because my daddy showed me, you know. You know what my dad told me? After he stopped laughing at about 10 minutes or so, he says, it was an airplane flying over the sky at the same time. So it was the little landing light from the airplane. I felt so stupid. I felt so stupid. But I was like, that was genius. He did it. It was perfect. So I was so excited. I was so excited about that. But my dad laughed at me so long after he was laughing so hard he was leaning over. Cause now I'm in my 40s. And I still didn't know how he did that. I'm glad I did ask him about it finally. But so anyway, my dad passed. And, you know, on that one, that hurt my brother. So I had to take the reins on that one. And 8 months later, well, 6 months later, my brother took the worst sickness. And he was in a coma for about a month. And he came out. He lived again for about another week. And on the 8th month, almost to the day, my brother passed on December the 18th. 2016. So I had to go into the new year making plans for my last family member, which is my baby brother, my everything. It's always been us, you know. And so I had to bury my brother, and I've been since 2016, pretty much on my own. But now I've moved out of the state, moved to another state where I was born, and I'm with my family, my dad's sister's daughter, which we're first cousins, and all of them are around. And then all of my family on my mom's side, my first cousins, and all of them are around. So it feels a little better to be able to see people that you were born and raised with, and it helps. It helps to kind of take the sting away from when I was younger. I mean, it reminds me of when I was younger. The only thing that's missing are all the adults, but we all have kids and grandkids and all this, that, and the other of our own, so we're actually doing pretty well. I don't know what happened with my chat, but oh wow. Are you able to comment? Somebody try to comment and let me know. But I hey baby, thank you, thank you. You have a beautiful spirit as well, I can tell. But so it's been a bit rough for the last few years, as far as that's concerned. But I'm looking forward to going up, up, up. You know, and that's why I say I thank God for the squad because there are so many of them that have helped me personally, and so I know the spirits that you have. I know the talents, the gifts. I know the hearts that you all have. And I just want everybody to just love on each other. I appreciate you all because a lot of encouraging words and the phone calls and all of that when I was going through what I was going through this summer. I wouldn't have made it without you guys. I wouldn't have made it without you guys. That's why I try to stay in constant contact with you all and let you know the progress we're making and how well everything is going. And um, just everything. It's just been a blessing, and I appreciate it. So, and I want you all to know also that your labor is not in vain. Look at what you've done for me. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I wouldn't take advantage of anyone. I never would. Anything that anyone has ever given me, I've always given account of it. Or I even, that I was afraid to spend money that was given to me. I would ask, well, is it okay if I do this, or is it okay? And look, we gave it to you, you do it. But I was like that, so I'm just appreciative now. Although things are not where I want them to be yet, but some of the things are changing for the. Everything's for the better, and it's gonna happen. So I just know that God is a good God. I want you all to be encouraged and be lovers one to the other. If you see your brother overtaking a fault, be spiritual and restore him back to righteousness. Don't step on him. Don't talk about him. Don't treat him bad. Don't worry about it. That's another jewel in your crown. It's all gonna be good, and you can draw more bees with honey than you can with vinegar any day. You know, we're going to keep on praying about the carbonation situation, although I am going to try to fall back on that because one thing about it, anything that you spend a lot of time doing or participating in, it becomes a habit after 28 consecutive days of doing it. It becomes a habit. And anything that becomes a habit outside of you doing something that's good for you, it becomes an issue, especially if it causes or brings conflict. So take some time with your family. Turn your phones off, turn your social media off, do whatever, well, except for me. Don't turn me off, turn me up, okay? But anything you can do to be an encouragement to someone else, be an encouragement. If you get on social media, let it be all positive. Don't let anybody deposit any junk into your spirit. Keep your eyes on God. Turn your heart towards Him and watch God work for you. Watch Him work for you. I'm looking for Him to do greater things in me. If there's anyone that needs me for any reason, my email is in my bio. You can email me. It comes straight to my phone or wherever. Or you can inbox me on any form of social media, except for my Facebook. I don't accept anybody on my Facebook. I'm sorry. It's just for my family and my friends, and it's private and on purpose. Uh, and that's the only thing. But most of the people, if you want to speak to me or whatever, you can always contact me through um, either here on YouTube or on Instagram, and I'll respond right back. I will. I really will. So I'm gonna let you guys go. We've been on here long enough. I may be back a little bit later on. I'm gonna take a break, get myself back together, go cleanse this oily skin, and come back a little bit later. Maybe we'll do something more exciting as opposed to me crying like a little punk. But it's all right. It's all right. I got you. And make sure if you haven't already liked the page that you like it. Thank you for everybody who came in. Intuitive Onyx, Name Love, Foot on Neck. Miss J 59. Well, I'm sorry, Miss J 95 1. I wanted to, and all the ones that dropped in and out, I appreciate you too. I love you on purpose, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Peace. Love you.